Hello everybody, welcome back to my Let's Play on Mass Effect 3 Legendary Edition. But this necessarily isn't going to be a Let's Play, this is going to be on more of a Let's Talk Mass Effect. In the last video, which is the finale to this series, in all intents and purposes, uh, I had some issues with the mod and the way things happened. I made it work, I spliced the edit together to make it get so we got all the phases for the party and whatnot. It worked out in the end, but not as I had planned, not the way I wanted to do it. And one of the things too that I wanted to be able to talk about, and I said I would, was uh, the listing of my favorite squad mates. And that's not of vital importance, but I had said several times that I was going to do that. And when things kind of came a little bit unraveled there, and I got preoccupied with how I was going to fix it in editing, what I was going to do, and it took me off my game plan there of what I wanted to get done. So I ended up forgetting about even having to, not having to, but I wanted to list my squad mates and say, uh, put them on a list here. And I mean, we're gonna do it with the NPCs that are here, like with Glyph there and with Steve Cortez and Joker and the whole crew. But so that's what I'm doing. I also just wanted to talk about the three games, talk about my experience here with doing a let's play, and then the future of what I'm gonna do um, with in regards to LPing The Witcher 3. So yeah, that's what's on today's agenda, and that's what we're going to do. So, starting off, what I wanted to do is we're going to go down my list here. I've got it laid out, and I'm going to run to each person that, well, that is here and available to talk to, or to be in the vicinity of, and put them in the list of where I want them to be. So, at number 20, this person isn't here. However, a relative of theirs is, and in number 20 is Morinth. Morinth, there just isn't a whole lot there. She is a serial killer, of course, who takes joy in it, and she's only there if you betray Samara, of course. And I've only done that, I believe, twice. Is how often I've done it, so I don't have even that much experience with her. But uh, I wasn't that impressed with it. With my playthroughs of with her, there's just the only thing I did really like about it was the fact that after you beat the game, in the post finale, you could be seduced by her basically and think that you could pull it off and have some a sorry sex with her. Well, you you can't. She pretty much burns your brain out and you die right there for trying it. But I do like that they allowed you to think that you could pull that off. But nope, you cannot. So at number 19. All right, I gotta remember where all these people are here. Oh yeah, I remember. We do have another ghost appearance. Thane did make an appearance. His silhouette there in the last game. He was over there in the kitchen. And now we do have, and maybe he was here all the time. I just didn't notice him. We have Morton, and he's not number 19. I assure you that. But yeah, he showed up at the party somehow. He is dead, but his ghost is much more realistic. And that I can't even walk through him. He's solid. So yeah. And I also noticed something else. Looking at this now, this is partially probably due to me, my being legally blind, but also my color blindness. I did not notice Legion over there before. He blended into me with that painting. I did not see him back there, so I noticed he was back there. So I didn't talk to him. So there will be a tiny bit of let's play within this, and that we'll get dialogue that wasn't within that other video. But here we go.
Inefficiency levels have reached critical mass. Several individuals are non-functional. The apartment has sustained collateral damage. Conclusion: the party was a success.
Yeah, I'd say it was Legion. It was pretty good, but he's not number 19 either. Number 19, unfortunately, with that distinct honor of being that he was to a regular, squad mate, unlike Morinth, is Jacob. Jacob, I thought showed real potential when we first met him within Mass Effect 2. Right away, he came across as someone who's going to be honest and very straightforward and like was telling you, you know, who he was working for. He wasn't trying to hide that it was Cerberus, about the elusive man. He was just being really like just. He came across as a guy that although he's working with these bad people, he's gonna tell you like it is. He's not gonna bullshit you and maybe I don't know. I just thought he came across too many times. Once you got him on board, is a lot more standoffish. He just there wasn't. I don't know. There was even a couple times too where he came off as really an asshole in welcoming Thane and Tally. And on both occasions, he was an absolute jerk, and it was uncalled for. And it didn't. I don't know why they had him be that way. I mean, maybe they wanted to have some people. You do want you don't want everybody to get along, of course, because having conflict between characters and whatnot is good. Hell, Jack and Miranda is a good example of that. But Jacobs just felt as unnecessary antagonism, especially towards Thane when it was just he didn't even know the guy. He was and they could have done more with it though. It could have shown some growth and there's change in his opinion on Thane, especially when you find out Thane was doing it for free. And then with Thane's passing, it could have been at the funeral and to have some kind words, to say that he changed his view on him. But they didn't do that for his character, which is really unfortunate. Um, Jacob did show like some decency there. It's like in the Citadel DLC where he's helping out orphan kids, man, taking them out, and like that's a real honorable and a good thing to do. He also showed that he is selfless though, and when we were taking on the base, he offered to go through the vents, and he said it's pretty much a suicide mission that he would do it. Like that did show you like he's willing to do what it takes to get this job done. And in my first playthrough, I took him at his word that that's how it was. So I put him in the vents. I thought whoever going through was gonna die, and he volunteered, so he went. And I mean, I do respect that he was willing to do it, and that showed his selflessness. So it's not like he's not a bad guy. Although he does also, if you romance him as femship, he will cheat on you. So that's not the greatest thing there either. But so maybe he's a little bit of a complicated character in some ways, but uh, it just kind of no other character in this trilogy does that. It's kind of odd that they did that when I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of what they've did with this character. I did like his loyalty mission. I thought it was really good. It was pretty dark and awful subject matter, but I thought it was done really well and definitely thought provoking and whatnot. So yeah, unfortunately for Jacob, he does fall in spot number 19. Number 18 might some people might not like it, but I'll give some explanation. Is Zaid Masani for me. I think they did him a lot of good in this, especially in this Citadel DLC. I thought they added some really good, funny comedic moments for him, and I did enjoy those. But in the second game, and we also got a lot more out of him due to mods in this this third game, and so that helped. But if it's just pure vanilla game, there certainly is barely anything there at all, except of course in this DLC that did help, as I said. In the second game, though, other than his loyalty, which again I liked, it had a good, you had to pick one or the other there, and it with the mod that we had, it changed up that dynamic as well. But in the vanilla, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. And but on the mission or on the ship, you can't really talk to him. You don't really get to have a conversation with him. He just tells you the stories, and they can be kind of interesting, but it's basically he was in some shit. He got out of it, and all the others died. That's like pretty much the gist of Zaid's stories as he goes. And I mean, I like Zaid. I think he's a pretty badass guy. Like he's good in combat. Like I don't know. I'm just I w- I wish there was more, but there isn't. Um, I did also realize that I was gonna do just a take on just the Mass Effect 3 players alone, and then do the entire squad. So um, I guess I'll just do. Well, I should probably do that because it's a lot faster, and I won't do a character breakdown on them or no, I'm not doing a super in-depth breakdown, obviously, but just giving my opinion on each player and that. But I'll do the Mass Effect 3 alone just right now, just to let's see. At number 8, we got because there's 8 potential squad mates within Mass Effect 3. You of course have either Caden or Ashley, so you're gonna have one or the other unless you do at least 2 playthroughs. And I'm not going to count, for example, like Nyrene or Arya. They're part-time squad mates, and I'm not going to count even Rex. Not in this, in the overall course, but not in the Mass Effect 3. He didn't really have a role there. But yeah, number 8. Unfortunately for Caden, he's I think. got the bottom spot there for Mass Effect 3 squad mates. And at number 7, I do have Ashley. So either one of the Vermeer survivors, they're at the bottom end there, unfortunately for them. At number 6, he's right over there, James Vega. Yeah. So we kind of a common theme that almost seems with the human players that, or the the human NPCs just not as impressive for whatever reason. At number 5, Edie, which middle of the pack there, well, back into the pack, but still, she'll fare better when I put her in the overall scoring list though. But um, number 4, where's she at? Yeah. And these characters in this list on here are only I'm only taking into account on this list their character within this game itself. So I think that's why things will be kind of different. Players may be up on one to compared to another player later, and this and that. But for example, like Liara is in number 4 spot in the Mass Effect 3 itself. So yeah, she's a. Let me see who's all right. And number 3 sitting here with her, Garrus Vakarian. Of course, love Garrus. Um, Number 2, he's in here not feeling so well. Gavik. And to no one's surprise, of course, Tali Zora Abbas Normandy is at my number 1 spot for uh, all of Mass Effect 3. But back to where we were with the overall list. Number 17, and it's why I remembered, was Mr. Caden Alenko. He as I said when we were taking back Earth and talking there, I think he is a really good-hearted, decent, thoughtful person. And like if it were real life, I wouldn't mind hanging out with Caden and just talking to him and hearing his thoughts on different things because I really think he's probably thought long and hard on things. That's just how he is. He just kind of maybe also overthinks some things, but I think he's a good person. But as far as like this, you know, squad mates, I think he's pretty meh. And he has like there's some decent stories like about how he stood up for the girl, and it ended up leading to him, defending her and killing the teacher. Like that was pretty brutal, and especially when you see him as such a reserved person. But it just kind of shows you how caught up he got being probably a very young man and just lost it. And but and that also probably had an effect on him really trying to find self control, and then this third game they're just it's kind of I don't know it's hard because they spend half their time still trying to get over what happened on Horizon, which is you know good because that was a tough moment, but between the characters and their relationship, but it it just didn't. I don't know. It didn't seem like their characters ever really went anywhere. And yeah, he's looking for his students biotics, but he made it to Spectre. I don't know. There's just not too much that was real interesting there, unfortunately. But as I say, as a person, I like him. I think he's a very decent and honorable man. And next up at 16, right here we got James Vega. Uh, Vega, I thought is like he seems like a fun guy. Like always, with a real good sense of humor. He's always cracking jokes and whatnot. And I like that. Like who doesn't like hanging with a guy who's always find a sense of humor, and he's obviously been through some shit where you watch Paragon Lost. It it kind of tells the story of, well, things went really freaking foobar, and all that he did too didn't ended up mounting to much. It didn't like he didn't, as we talked about, like they got that collector data, but it didn't matter. Shepard was already destroying the Reapers, but uh, I just I also, as I kind of mentioned too, I'm not the biggest fan of his irreverence toward his commanding officer. I don't find that like too appealing to me, but I get what they're doing with this character though, and he's just trying to be a little bit there of comic relief, and but I'm not. I don't know. wasn't ever a character that really won me over too much. Like I don't dislike James. I think he too is a good guy, but not on the level of Caden. Caden, I do think is a much better guy. Like James is probably a little bit you know he'd be a little bit more renegade than Caden, for example. But all right, next up, 15. They're all hanging out. All these guys. Grunt here. Grunt like I like Grunt a lot. Like he's a I really like the voice actor Steve Bloom. He's really good. And I do like, especially here in the Citadel DLC, you get to see a good side of him. That it's really enjoyable and fun. And then I mean but he's just this of course this Krogan warrior who like gets after it, and it's fine and good. But like his loyalty mission, for example, is just a battle arena. It's not that interesting. It is kind of interesting that you're learning about Krogan rituals and what he's got to go through there to earn some respect. So there's some interest there, but in the end, it's just a battle arena. So it wasn't that interesting in my opinion. But I mean, the thing is too though with the Citadel DLCs, it's like it wins you over with a lot of these characters, man. Like, they do all kind of get a moment to shine, and Grant certainly did. Um, at number 14, I've got she's not here. Ashley Williams, the from our Survivor. She scores higher than Caden overall, and by a couple spots there for me, just because I do like her character story in the first game. Um, and she is obviously a bit controversial, and I've talked extensively about her in that first game. So if you want to get more info on that, certainly invite you to check out that first one. But you know, with her family and the stigma they had, and her trying to she still joined up and she still tried to do right. And in the end, for us, she still gave her life for the Alliance and for the galaxy here. So she was a real hero and played a big role in us winning. So hats off to her. So, but in this third game, when you have her, kind of like Caden too, though, it's very similar, of course, in their arc. She's kind of though dealing with a sister who married a military guy and he died like right away, and so dealing with that, looking out for her sister, which actually biggest thing is family. She's very much into family and cares about her family. Like that's where her viewpoint for pretty much everything is from that perspective, which I respect and get. I have mentioned before, I'm very blessed. I do come from a tight knit family that we have a lot of love and for each other, and I realize not everybody else has that, and I think Ashley sometimes lacks that perspective to realize that not everybody has that, and it kind of bites her a little bit that can't see that not everyone's in the same position she is to have such things. But um, next up, Kasumi Goro. Kasumi is fits in that same type of area in that she, I think, is a very fun personality. Um, she makes me laugh often, and she's just one of the people who I think would, when she's very, and they really emphasize it here in this DLC, is a very eccentric character, but which is fine. But in combat, I find her to be really good. And I also think that her loyalty mission was a lot of fun. Doing a heist type of thing was, unlike anything in Mass Effect at that point, and it was really enjoyable. And but more than anything, like I say, her character to me is she's just fun, and which is fine. But they're just like Zaid, you don't get to really interact with her or talk much. So it's unfortunate that there isn't more there. But for what is there, I do like. Um, Next up, let's see what the number is. Number 12 would be Subject Zero, Jacqueline, not Jack. I like Jack's character arc a great deal. In the second game, I'm not the biggest fan of her. Like I said, I think she works really well if you're romancing her as a renegade. Other than that, I don't find her character all that appealing in the game. Otherwise, but where they take her to within this third game, is well, it's tremendous, I think, and giving her a real purpose, being a teacher and finding that you know, finding purpose in her life by being someone that's looking out for the well-being of kids that she knows no one did for her. Quite the opposite, in fact. But uh, Jack, like the way she is in the second game is completely understandable though. Like the hell she went through. Like how could she not be so angry and resentful? Like it's I'm not saying like she shouldn't be that way, but just in terms of character who you like hanging out with or talking, well, not always just because she's been through shit, man. Like, but the way her character arc goes is done so very well. Her loyalty mission, it's okay. I mean, her story parts where she's talking, I think are interesting in that, and you're learning about what her perspective of what happened and what the reality was, and how other kids were going through shit, and she didn't quite see that herself. But uh, seeing it there, I think she did probably learn that it wasn't just her that was suffering, though she was the main focus. But she suffered, but so did others. And so on that point, I did like it, but there wasn't all that much within it. Otherwise, it was pretty simple mission. But yeah, Jack, they did her a really good service here in this third game. Um, Next up, number 11, this guy here, Legion. I like Legion a great deal, and that he, someone that got to offer us a whole new perspective that we hadn't been given to learn the side of the guest that was honestly pretty incomprehensible in that first game, but because mainly I think they were probably designed just to be cannon fodder for uh, Saren and for you to fight against. But they created a good back history with them in that first game and with the Quarians and that conflict, and I think that created a lot of room for them to develop someone like Legion, and for him then to be a part of the ship and to tell you that was really interesting and fascinating stuff. And then you go on to here in the third game, and he's of course vital to an essential part in the game. And it's cool, like I said, to hear his perspective and to offer questions that you want, especially you do look at his loyalty mission and talking about what was, and I had a real hard time on that one on deciding whether to rewrite them or destroy them, like which was preferable. They're both awful options, and but I enjoyed that they make you ponder on that and think on it, and it was really well done. So his loyalty mission was great. I think his character within this third game was great, and how it you know became a vital part of this uh, story, in a major part. So yeah, and on Legion. Next up, Samara, the Justicar. What number we at though? Second. She's at number 10, so right now at the top 10. Um, as I said, I think Samara is a really cool, like, character to talk to and hear her perspective, and I think she's like Caden, a very thoughtful person who who doesn't like isn't too hasty to on things. Like you're getting someone that's probably thought on this quite a bit. Now the trouble, of course, with her is her code is trash, and that is too extreme, too stringent, and it all pretty much always just calls for her shooting and killing people. But uh, nevertheless, I do like her like a lot, and I just think she's a very honorable person, and well, I'd be terrified to be in her prison because you wouldn't want to, you know, somehow break that code and lead to your own killing or loved ones or whatever. But uh, I just really enjoy her character, and her loyalty mission I thought was really well done, in that you find out that it's one of her daughters, and that her other daughters are also inflicted with it, and it's just a real tragedy, and that she's out searching to kill her own daughter because her daughter's out killing innocents. And, it's really well done. And then within this third game too, to find her now at the monastery that's been corrupted by the Reapers, and she's facing the moment there of losing another daughter, and now with another one, and facing that code. Spoke to how she reminded me of Inspector Javert there. But no, no, I'm a big fan of Samara. At number 9, he's no longer here, and he was here in our last episode though as a silhouette ghost here in our kitchen. Thane Krios. Uh, Thane and Thane is tough because I think he has a really awesome redemption arc. And he did admit to having done some pretty shitty things, and in particular abandoning his son. Although it was understandable while he went out and looked to avenge his son, it was when even that work was done, he still didn't return to his son as he felt like too much time had passed, or whatever. But he goes on to make amends the best he can, and send his son now down a right path. And of course, in giving his life to help protect the counselor and to end the coup. So like Thane was proved himself to be a real hero, all while being very sick, obviously, and that's his loyalty mission is like again like Samara's was pretty cool in that they didn't call for any action. You just had to well do a little bit of pursuit and do some interrogation, which for us it went really quick, which was fun. But it's also fun to do the renegades in that and beat the shit out of that corrupt piece of shit, dude. But yeah, mm, it's a good one, and he has a good arc. And I like what they did with Thane. Next up, number 8, Edie. I do like Edie a lot. She definitely makes you consider different perspectives on AI and personhood of AI and how they develop and how they think on things. Like I really enjoyed what they did with her. And she has a great sense of humor. Is pretty awesome because you wouldn't expect that, of course, from a robot. And of course, her being with Joker, that makes perfect sense that they both like humor and both like ships, obviously. So it it's just she's just a really fascinating character to me that provoked a lot of thinking, and I thought it was done really well. And of course you do meet her first, but as a NPC on board your ship in the second game, but I like how they went and took her to the next level here and allowed you to take her on missions and get her perspective. It was really enjoyable, and I think they did a phenomenal job with her. So, yeah. Next up, let's go find him. He's a very unique character and a very unique perspective. But uh, Javik is next up there. He's at what is that number 6? Yeah. Nope. I take that back. He's number 7. He's Javik. Um, he obviously has a very harsh perspective on things, and who can blame him when when he was born, the galaxy was already just in flames and his people nearly wiped, and so all he ever knew was war. All he ever knew was a battle for their very existence, and so he has such a bleak worldview. But it's certainly a interesting perspective to have as we're facing it ourselves now, and we've heard so much about the Protheans, and now to have a Prothean who is here as he is just a well, he's a commander, but he's a soldier. Like Liara so desperately wanted, of course, a scholar of some kind or a scientist who could have helped and whatnot. Obviously, that had been a great and tremendous help. But for the story here, I think it was tremendous to have. Pretty much, he was Commander Shepard of his era, and to hear his stories and his view, although can be very antagonistic. And that's another thing I do like, though, is speaking like how Jacob was antagonistic, but uh, it just felt like his antagonism that I don't know, it felt very much a part of his personality that he liked pushing people's buttons. You didn't get that feeling from Jacob. Jacob didn't seem to me as a guy who likes to troll people. He seems a very sincere and well, honestly, he seems like a good person. I think he is a good person for the most part, but and I'm not saying that Javik isn't a good person. He is dedicated to war, and that's his thing. But he just likes trolling people. He likes pushing people's buttons and provoking responses. That's who he is. I like his antagonistic personality. I think it's good for storytelling, and Javik is a very interesting character. All right, now it's off to number 6. Where's he at? Where did I see? Oh yeah, I know. Number 6 is a character that well we've had with us since day one. He was only a squad mate in that first game, but also a short period here in this third game. Or not Rex. I love Rex so much, man. He's well, when you first meet him, of course, he's what you get to know of the Krogan, and when you learn about the genophage and their people suffering, and he's a great person in telling. Like, he doesn't seem to think he's great at telling stories, but he really is. And 'cause he tells you go talk to Tally if you want stories, but Rex is actually pretty good at telling stories himself in his own way. And I just always loved having him as a squad mate in that first game. And the first few times I ever played it, I mostly would always just take him and Tally, man. It was just a shotgun crew, and I just enjoyed having them both around. And of course, with his character though, it goes from pretty much an outcast in that first game. He's um, not really wanted back onto Chunkin. He's out just doing his mercenary work. And in fact, when we find him, he's doing it for the Shadow Broker. But he goes on to prove himself to be a terrific leader, and just a real visionary who wants to see the Krogan start better than they've ever been, and starting anew, but being better than they've ever really been. And he's definitely the guy to do it, because if he's not there and it's Reeve, you definitely see a different side of Krogan leadership, and that, of course, is a concern when carrying the genophage. Rex isn't always going to be there, neither will Eve, but the Krogan are lucky to have him as their leader at this moment with Shep. But I just think Rex is a terrific character and an awesome companion. I'll always love Rex, man. Okay. Number 5. Another guy goes back to the beginning crew. Garrus Vakarian. Love Garrus, man. He's definitely like Shepard's right hand man, and he was a pretty young guy when we first meet him. He's like 25 or 27, so it's not like he's an old dude who's been around all that much. But he was a cop who wasn't too satisfied with the way things were going, and of course, by the time he was on Saren's trail, he was trying to do his best, but I think the council were dragging their feet on purpose and not really letting him get anywhere with it, until Shep brought irrefutable evidence that they could no longer do anything with, so they had to kind of let Shepard go after him. But so he was on the trail of Saren there from the beginning, and he joined us and went along, and and after Shep died, he goes and tries to put together his own crew to stand up for justice in a lawless land on Omega, and was doing good, but he ended up, his whole crew got wiped, and him living with that guilt and wanting to get revenge for that. And you can decide what to do, but onto hearing that, well, his loyalty mission is, learning about that, or that betrayal, and going after him, and you deciding whether he should give in to that vengeance or not. I was really enjoyable. I liked it, and of course, ran into Harkin again. But he's such a I don't know, just a likable guy, a likable character. And into this third game, he really feels like he has stepped into a leadership role, making hard choices, and kind of venting to you about what it's like to make some of these choices, and telling you what his perspective is on choices you're making. And he's just feels like someone that you could count on to talk to about these really top level choices that are being made from a leadership position, and he's going to offer you an honest perspective on how he sees what's best to get it done. And I like Garrus a great deal. Tremendous character. Number 4, well, sitting right there, Dr. Liara Tassoni. Liara, of course, in that first game was pretty socially awkward. She liked, of course, she said, being at Diggs and being by herself and doing her thing there. And of course, was a Prothean scholar, and she had her theories onto it, and bring her along, and she offers, of course, a unique perspective as an Asari on board, that we get to hear about her people and what they're going through. And she just makes such a, when you play it the first time without the DLC yet of the Shadow Broker, you kind of thrown for a loop a little bit by her jarring character change there. That all of a sudden she's quite much more cynical and pretty hard nosed and driven, and you're like, what's going on? But as it's all been fleshed out so much more, you understand now what's happened there, and Shep dying and her going to try and retrieve Shep's body and dealing with the Shadow Broker and with Cerberus and going through that and with Farron, it hardened her a great deal. And so yeah, it did have a change on her. It sucks when change like that happens off camera, of course. So it did happen in a comic book series, but um, no, it is just a bit jarring for the player. But nevertheless, I do like it. I like her character. I do like it. Her becoming a Shadow Broker, and which does again kind of play well into her being a bit reclusive, and she likes to work on her own there and hoarding all this information on everybody in the galaxy. But uh, Liara is a good person. She's a I don't know. I just think that you, she has one of the best character arcs in this series, and Shepard does owe, in this case, her life to Liara for recovering her body. And, she entrusted it to a terrorist organization in Cerberus, but it ended up paying off. And so, yeah, Liara is pretty great. Let's see, number 4. So off to number 3. I know as a character that I've talked a great deal about, but and I know I've spoken um, about how a lot of players don't like her, but I think very highly of her, and I have spoken as to why. But I think Miranda's a terrific character. Not that she's the greatest person. I think Miranda can be pretty well mean sometimes, especially in particular with dealing with Jack and her being an apologist for times for Cerberus, and that there's definitely some qualities to her where you wouldn't say, well, she's the nicest person. And obviously, when you first meet her too, she is quite the opposite of Jacob at the beginning, where Jacob is very open and forthcoming when you first meet him. She's the one that's very standoffish and cold and not really wanting to let you anywhere near her. Once you get on board the ship, they've completely flipped. She becomes immediately much more open and warm, and he becomes more standoffish and cold. And it's kind of odd how that happened, but nevertheless, her character I think is a really much more deeper character than a lot of people think, because I think they just think of her as arrogant and cocky, and that she thinks she's perfect. But I think quite the I think she's far too aware of and insecure of herself. She, she feels like yes, she was built to be perfect, designed to be perfect, but that she falls short of that far too often, and she's hard on herself for that. That she doesn't think herself as ever meeting that standard that she was designed to do. So for me, I like Miranda a great deal. Her loyalty mission is really good. I enjoy it a lot. Her looking out for her sister and dealing with a friend who she thought she could trust, who she has trusted all her life, and come to bite her in the ass. But yeah, Miranda's a terrific character that another person like Liara, who we owe our life to, that she was the person right in charge of the Lazarus Project that brought us back. So, oh, a great deal to Miranda. Now, it helps that he seemed to make his ghost appearance here, the apparition of Morden. Morden's the number 2. Um, Morden has a terrific character arc, and he in the second game, of course, is very staunch in his belief in the genophage, and I'm honestly there with them. I think it was the right call for at the right time. It had to be done. They weren't looking to, fully sterilize and wipe out the Krogan. It was a awful thing that had to be done, and he knew that it was an awful thing. And in this third game, circumstance changed. The things have changed. The Krogan have paid enough. The Reapers are here. We need their help. It's been, I think it's like 1,400 years or something like that since the original genophage. Is like they've paid their price. They've been heroes. Morden takes the responsibility to see to it himself to make sure the right thing gets done, and in so doing, he gives his life, and it's such a terrific moment. And for me, maybe the one of the like top 5 moments in all of Mass Effect, and the first time I had ever actually cried it from a video game that I didn't think was ever possible that I could care about a character or anything like that from a video game, and was from him going up that elevator and knowing what he was doing and how heroic he was. I was amazed, and it's honestly what really just instilled in me a love for the series and for this game, and so Morden's a real hero, and he's number two on my list. And number one should be, to no surprise to anyone if you watch this, of course, it's Tally. And I do want people to understand too that this list is just me in my list of favorite characters, and I like them, and it's it doesn't mean that I think she's is the greatest character in this series. As I do think better characters in terms of character arc, and I think there are better character stories in with Morden and with Thane. They're in Jack, but overall, I just like Tally a lot more. I liked it, and she does have an interesting story arc as well, though. Like it's not bad. It's she goes from well, she was a very young lady. I think in the first game, is she like, oh god, I looked it up when we did the first game. I wanted to say she was like 23, something like that. Um, so she was maybe even 21, but she was a very young lady, right? Excuse me. And her worldview at that time very much was about she pretty much just wanted to wipe out the Geth for doing all the for taking their homeworld from them and slaughtering her people. And like she just seen it as that should be done. That's what needs to be done. Um, but as time goes on, she gets to know, of course, first, well, Legion, and then she goes on to, of course, to get to know Edie, and then uh, in so doing by getting to know, in particular, Legion, though she got to understand a little bit better the Geth, and come this third game is obviously peace isn't always necessarily what's found. She can die. We could wipe out the Geth as well. Like things can play out different, but in this scenario where she's uh, found that peace can be found with them, and she realized that she was wrong in a lot of ways, and she's kind of just willingly admits to it that I was wrong, that Chef, you were right, that uh, there was a better way there, and if it were up to me at the time, I would have wiped him out, and she would have been wrong, and I think that was big of her to admit to. So she does have a very interesting character arc. The Gethquarian conflict is um, right up there with the Genophage in terms of awesome scientific writing. So, and she plays an important role in that storytelling and her perspective and about and there in part, of course, especially in that first game, where she tells you much about the Quarians and their people, and to get to hear her perspective and that loyalty mission of hers is tremendous. You actually get to go and see the Quarian people and how things work there and the inner workings of the politics there. The tremendous loyalty mission, and I think Tally is a one. She is a like a she's good in battle, that's for sure. But she also I think has is a pretty funny character. She has a lot of good funny lines in it. She's charming. So for me, there's a lot that I like her. So and I realize that helps push her up to the top. That plays a major role in it. But that's who my number one pick for my favorite squad mate in the Mass Effect trilogy is Tally, and she was number one across the board in all three games. But as I said, that shouldn't be a surprise to anyone at all. Um, Next up, I was gonna. I dropped my notes here. Yeah, I just thought this might be fun because I don't think anyone ever really does this. But I was gonna talk about the NPCs that we have on our ship. Now for this, I was just gonna be. This is gonna be a lot quicker. I just don't think that people really, of course, think about NPCs who's favorites, but we've had a few, and I like a lot of them. Um, for me, number 10. Now this is gonna be the most basic of basic guys. No wonder why he's number 10. But requisition guy on the first Normandy. He's there to, of course, he's just your shop on board, man. He's charging you for shit, man. You should be like the Lion should be supplying me with this, man. If not the the council should be, as I'm a Spectre, but yeah, it's just convenient there for you to sell and buy stuff on board the ship. So it's just that. So he's kind of a throwaway, but yeah, requisitions guy, man. He's number 10. Uh, Number 9, and this isn't so fair for her because she's just a replacement in case Dr. Chocolates dies in the second game. So you can get Dr. Michelle, and I like her because I mean I like her from the first game. Of course, you get to meet her there, and in the third game, I've only had her I think on board once or twice that I've played, so I don't even remember that much of her character on there to say too much on her, like what she's like on board. But I don't think she really distinguishes herself that much from Dr. Chocolate. So yeah, it's kind of not fair to have her, but yeah. Um, Number 8 right here, Glyph. Glyph, of course, comes to save the day here in the third game in the DLC, which is honestly what keeps him from being number 10. Is that without him, we get locked away in that capsule forever. So yeah, just by simply doing that, that's what helped elevate him. But Glyph was very annoying in that Shadow Broker, man. When he just followed you around calling you Shadow Broker, and as soon as you turn around, you just bump into him. So yeah, Glyph is number 8. Number 7, not here, but Engineer Adams. He's just kind of meh. I think they do him a little bit better here in this third game, where you get to hear him talking with Doctor Chakwas and some of the characters he interacts with and stuff, so you get to hear him there. But uh, I just thought he's not nothing spectacular there, nothing bad, but nothing just great, just kind of me, honestly. Um, Number 6, well, she is here due to a mod. I'll put Kelly. Kelly's I mean, you get to talk to her a great deal in that second game, and she, helps you out there and this and that. There, she feeds your fish if you romance her, and she's okay. Also, just nothing great. She's a very loving person. She pretty much likes everybody, and it was no mystery why. It's like the elusive man put her on board. Is she put a good foot forward for service and give him a good, you know, face there to help kind of win over ship. So yeah. Uh, Number 5 will be our shuttle pilot Steve Cortez. Like Steve, he's like an earnest fellow who, is dealing with grief though, which is hard. That you find him at a time where he's dealing with that, but it helps that he has a good rapport with James and that they're joking there, and that helps kind of, win them both over to you. As you see that rapport they're having, and they're just trying to make a good time out of being in a bad situation, and he of course helps pull us out of the shit quite a bit. So uh, Steve's all right. So number 4, she's not here, but is Dr. Chakwas. I like Chakwas a lot. She likes Jenkins and she likes drinking and she likes hanging out with Shep. And I mean there isn't a whole lot to her character I'd say, but she still kind of feels like the motherly presence on board throughout all 3 games. So and you know I don't know. I just like her. She seems like a very professional woman who has the well-being of all those aboard, especially Joker. And so yeah, Dr. Chocolates is at number 4. At number 3, we've got she's back there, Samantha Trainer. I like Samantha. So I'm sorry, Kelly, but she's the better version of you. I think she is funny. She's very smart. She helps you find quite a few things with Cerberus. Well, first with was it that Horizon, and she also helps you find the Grissom Academy. So she does some good work there in finding stuff. She's also, as I say, pretty funny. She has a good personality and is very likable. So yeah, she's number 3. Number 2 is a 2A and 2B, and you could pick who's goes where. But Ken Donnelly and Gabby Daniels, just they're a terrific comedic duo. I wish they would have had them at this party. They would have been fantastic. But yeah, I love Ken and Gabby so much. They're magnificent, and they just do make you laugh so much, and they're enjoyable. And so they're number 2, whoever you like there. At number 1, and this should be to nobody's surprise, of course, is our pilot Joker. He's a mess right there. Right? So maybe we'll look at him over here. Much happier instance with Edie, but uh, Seth Green, of course, does a terrific job as Joker and giving him, you know, terrific comedy lines in there, and they do dealing with the brittle bones, and yet he's a top pilot and saves the day more times than and just it's the comedy though that of course helps warm the player's heart to him, and uh, then he finds love with a robot. It's unnatural, but it's a good story stuff, and I like Joker a great deal. So yeah, that's our NPCs. Just thought I'd do that because I thought it'd be fun. But now I'm just gonna talk about the three games themselves, this let's play, and then the future. So for me, uh, the three games each has their flaws, but they're also certainly have their virtues. And the first game, although I think it has the best story of the three and the best antagonist, uh, with Saren and in that talk with Sovereign, it has such terrific moments like that with Sovereign and with Vigil, uh, and even that talk with Saren. I think when you confront him there on Vermeer is really good. He, the combat is kind of eh. The I do like the biotics on it, but the combat just obviously gets far more refined in the second and third games, and they're much more funner in that sense to play. But straight up, just pure story. I love that first game. It is for me the best story. The second game for me, like the combat was right away. You're like, man, okay, this is just pure fun to play. And then its real strength shows in the characters. That's where its main story is very meh. And honestly, it's meh. Just not. I don't want to say it's not good because it's okay, but it has a lot of room to be desired compared to the first game, and um, that's unfortunate. But nevertheless, it shines with its character, and it shines with those loyalty missions, and forming that, and uh, and with the combat. Honestly, it's so much fun. I do wish it would have had more role playing within it, in terms of like getting what do you call it, like inventory type of things, and doing it that way. But so much of it was streamlined. But it still had much better choices in terms of dialogue than the third game. That's the third game definitely falls short in terms of that in dialogue choices. But the second game I think still holds pretty well in offering neutral choices and offering you to investigate plenty in dialogue, and I do like that. That was something that I miss a great deal within this third game. So second game it's no wonder to me why it is the fan favorite of the three. I think it's and maybe it's not even a fan favorite, but more like the mainstream favorite, in that more people like it out of that aren't even necessarily Mass Effect fans. That it had wider appeal, and I could see why. It's pretty fantastic. The third game to me is definitely it has obviously the most emotion within it. It can certainly have you in tears, but can also have you in the most stitches laughing. And the combat is really refined and fun. The story is good. I do like how things have come to its head, and you're seeing the real consequences of death piling up. And I just think it was lacking a bit, like I say, in the dialogue. That to me is its biggest downside. Is it could have had more with in terms of that, but they did a better job with the having inventory and being able to pick up mods for to add to your weapons and whatnot. That I did like that, and they also improved on your being able to choose your powers and how they branched. Like in the second game you only got up to here where it branched. You got one choice, and here at least they got at the end you got three different choices. So that was pretty amazing. So yeah, it to me it's just a tremendous trilogy. And I'm so happy to have done this. I've wanted to do it since 2011, and now to have finally finished it is quite quite an amazing feeling. I guess how I should put that. That I finally did it, and man, I just feel really good about it. And that leads me to what I'm going to be doing now. I think I am going to continue Let's Playing. Next up will be with The Witcher 3, like I said, is what I wanted to do. It is my favorite game of all time. Um, these three games combined make for my favorite series of all time, even though Witcher, of course, has 1, 2, and 3. I have beaten the first game once. I've beaten the second game once, and I beat the third game. I knew it was between 6 to 8 times, but I really started to think about it and count the times that I've gotten outcomes, and I can remember getting 6 outcomes. So I think I've beaten it 6 times. This will be a seventh playthrough. So I know the game pretty well, but nowhere near as much as this now makes for like 26 times that I've beaten this trilogy, like all three games. So I know this these games pretty damn well. Um, and that is not to say that I have encyclopedic knowledge. Quite obviously, I do not of this series. I don't. I've got plenty wrong throughout that I, of course, would try to correct whenever I realized it. But I, I'm just someone who absolutely loves these games. Wanted to talk about these games, give my thoughts, give my opinions, and if I did get information wrong, I certainly apologize for that. I didn't mean to. I don't mean to. I want to get everything right that I could. And but I feel like I know these games pretty well. So I just spoke honestly of what I believe to be within this. And as far as The Witcher 3, I know those games, like I say, fairly well. I've beaten it 6 times, but not to this level. So, but I still want to do, I think, a spoiler-rich Let's Play where, so I just have, for one, it does make my Let's Play have its own little distinct niche to be out there. Because, and not that there isn't others that do it, there certainly are. Um, but it's just a little difference to not because if I just do it as a regular role play, there's no different really than any other. But I want the freedom to be able to just talk about The Witcher and openly and freely. I enjoyed that about this, just talking about whatever I felt like in about Mass Effect, and I want to do that with The Witcher. So I will do that. It's going to be spoiler rich, and it also though will be a heavily modded Let's Play, just as this. Maybe not to the full extent of this one. Across these three games I looked up, I have 373 downloads from Nexus Mod. So for these three games, so these are quite heavily modded. I'm not sure the total on The Witcher. I'll look that up later, but I would say it's probably in the 50 to 60 range of mods. Still quite a bit, but I don't think it's nearly as much as these ones, especially this third one. But so yeah, it'll be a heavily modded one. But and also, I don't think I'm going to be playing it or uploading, I should say, nearly as frequently as I was here. I was doing 2 sessions a day, which is fine. I've absolutely loved it. That's why I'm wanting to continue doing it because I've enjoyed this so much. But doing 2 a day, and then I'd upload and have another one upload that I could schedule for to come out later. And so right as it is right now, I think the 23rd episode published today, and yet I finished the series at 41 episodes. Just this will be, if I consider it an episode, which I guess I will be episode 42. So yeah, I'm way ahead of where they're publishing. So I've got a cushion there, but I don't. I think for that I'll be uploading maybe I don't know 3 times a week maybe. I mean, who knows? I may end up doing it uploading once a day and the same thing. If I end up just enjoy doing it that way, then I will. Um, but I'm not setting myself on any schedule to do so. And that's such a long game, and it's going to take a while, of course, to finish it. But I love that game, and I'm looking forward to playing it again and getting into it and doing it as a let's play. So that's going to be fun. Looking forward to it. Um, by the way, if anyone is ever interested in doing a let's play themselves, what first actually got me to think about even like, okay, maybe I can do this was I got something from Steam one time about, hey, did you know we got this new feature where you can just record your gameplay? And so I just did it real quick, and I was like, oh, well, holy crap, that's actually pretty good quality, and it was really easy to just record myself playing. But unfortunately, it wasn't picking up at the time. I just had the mic that was on my headphones itself, and it wasn't picking. It sounded really muffled. It didn't sound good at all. And if it would kind of cut in and out, and so it wasn't good. I was like, well, I've seen how easy it is to record. I can do this. So I bought myself a mic for $40 on Amazon, which isn't much. But and I looked into the recording that picked up this mic without issue was OBS, and that's free. So you can get that for free. You get the a mic for $40, which isn't that bad. Um, and then I looked into editing, and what I'm using is a program called DaVinci Resolve. I believe it's edition 20, might be 21. Because I think there was an update, but I don't know if I've done it. It's either 20 or 21 or 20 point whatever. But uh, they have a free edition. They do. You could get a free or a professional one, but for most simpler tasks of editing, you'd be fine with the free version. And for just cutting, splicing stuff, like doing them, you'd only need that one if you really are doing professional work, I think. But um, yeah, it's free. You do have to provide them with your phone number, which that's fine. They're giving me this awesome piece of software to allow me to edit, which I had no idea how to do. I was a bit intimidated, but there are good videos out there to help you learn how to do that. So yeah, it can be done. You could do it. If I could do it, anyone can, man. Believe me. That was I was definitely, you know, maybe kind of getting in my own way and stopping myself from even trying it because of being legally blind. I just thought, man, I don't know, might make an ass of myself doing it. Like I just putting up blocks of not trying. And eventually seeing that I could do this. I'm glad I did. And if you want to try, I wish you luck, and I hope you do. Anyway, that's it. That's the end of it. It's gonna be the end of my Let's Play of Mass Effect Trilogy Legendary Edition. From the bottom of my heart, I thank any of you that have watched even just 5 minutes of one video. Like, and those of you that have actually watched through any video at all, that I can't thank you enough. And for those that have subscribed or hit the like, it means the world to me that anyone out there would watch. I've enjoyed doing this. I enjoy watching it myself, and I hope others will as well who do love Mass Effect. That was always my goal, that they could find a place for others who love it, and I hope you enjoyed mine, even with its mistakes and putting up with me. It's been fun, guys. I thank you all, and I hope to catch you in my Let's Play The Witcher 3. I'll catch y'all around. Later.